page 7 of 724. Evolution 4, Douglas Futuyma, 2017. Unit 1. An idea that changes the world. Chapter 1. Evolutionary biology. 1.2. Nothing in biology makes sense except in the light of evolution. If you suppose that scientists study evolution by analyzing fossils, you are right, but as the analyses of infectious diseases show, students of evolution also employ many other approaches and address a wide range of questions. Evolutionary biology is concerned with explaining and understanding the diversity of living things and their characteristics, what has been the history that produced this diversity, and what have been the causes of this history. Some evolutionary scientists try to elucidate the history of viruses, how they became capable of infecting diverse species of animals, and how antibiotic resistance evolves. Others ask similar questions about the origin of humans and human characteristics, or of mammals, plants, beetles, or dinosaurs. And because all features of all organisms have evolved, evolutionary biologists study the evolution of DNA sequences, proteins, biochemical pathways, embryological development, anatomical features, behaviors, life histories, interactions among different species, all of biology. Facing such an overwhelming profusion of subjects, evolutionary scientists aim to develop broad principles and to document common patterns of evolution to arrive at general principles that apply to diverse organisms and diverse kinds of characteristics. 6. Most of this book attempts to convey these general principles, although we illustrate the principles with studies of particular organisms and characteristics. Evolutionary biology extends and amplifies the explanation of biological phenomena. It complements studies of the proximate causes, immediate, mechanical causes, of biological phenomena, the subject of cell biology, neurobiology, and many other biological disciplines, with analysis of the ultimate causes of those phenomena, their historical causes, especially the action of natural selection. If we ask what causes a male bird to sing, the proximate causes include the action of testosterone or other hormones, the structure and action of the singing apparatus, syrinx, and the operation of certain centers in the brain, figure 1.4. The ultimate causes lie in the history of events that led to the evolution of singing in the bird's remote ancestors. For example, past individuals whose genes inclined them to sing may have been more successful in attracting females or in driving away competing males, and thus may have transmitted their genes to more descendants than did their less vocal competitors. Proximate and ultimate explanations may interact, 14, and together provide more complete understanding than either does alone. As the great evolutionary biologist Theodosius Dobzhansky, 5, wrote, "Nothing in biology makes sense except in the light of evolution." Figure 1.4. The song of a male marsh warbler, Acrocephalus palustris, is much more complex than the song of a male grasshopper warbler, Locust helenvia, which is a simple buzz. The sonograms, diagrams of the song, show frequency in relation to time. The song nucleus in the brain is larger in the marsh warbler than in the grasshopper warbler. Female marsh warblers prefer males with more complex songs. The proximate causes of the song difference include the brain structure. The ultimate causes include natural selection owing to the reproductive success of males whose songs attract more females. Sonograms from 30. 1.3. What is evolution? Is it fact or theory? The word evolution comes from the Latin evolvere, to unfold or unroll, to reveal or manifest hidden potentialities. Today evolution has come to mean, simply, change. But changes in individual organisms, such as those that transpire in development, ontogeny, are not considered evolution. Biological, or organic, evolution is inherited change in the properties of groups of organisms over the course of generations. As Darwin elegantly phrased it, evolution is descent with modification. As the HIV and SIV viruses illustrate, a single group, or population, of organisms may be modified over the course of time, for example, becoming drug-resistant. A population may become subdivided, so that several populations are descended from a common ancestral population. If different changes transpire in the several populations, the populations diverge, that is, they become different from each other, for example, as the various HIVs and SIVs have done. Is evolution a fact, a theory, or a hypothesis? Biologists often speak of the theory of evolution, but they usually mean by that something quite different from what most non-scientists understand by that phrase. Biologists talk about the theory of evolution in the same way that physicists talk about the theory of gravitation. Scientists are as confident about the reality of evolution as they are of the reality of gravity. In science, a hypothesis is an informed conjecture or statement of what might be true. Most philosophers, and scientists, hold that we do not know anything with absolute certainty. What we call facts are in some cases simple, confirmed observations. In other cases, a fact is a hypothesis that has acquired so much supporting evidence that we act as if it is true. A hypothesis may be poorly supported at first, but it can gain support to the point that it is effectively a fact. For Copernicus, the revolution of Earth around the Sun was a hypothesis with modest support for us. This hypothesis has such strong support that we consider it a fact. Occasionally, an accepted fact may need to be revised in the face of new evidence. For example, humans have 46 chromosomes, not 48 as once thought. In everyday use, theory refers to an unsupported speculation. Like many words, however, this term has a different meaning in science. Strictly speaking, a scientific theory is a comprehensive, coherent body of interconnected statements, based on reasoning and evidence, that explain some aspect of nature, usually many aspects. Thus atomic theory, quantum theory, and the theory of plate tectonics are elaborate schemes of interconnected ideas, strongly supported by evidence, that account for a great variety of phenomena. Theory is a term of honor in science. The greatest accomplishment a scientist can aspire to is to develop a valid, successful new theory. In The Origin of Species, Darwin propounded two major hypotheses, that organisms have descended, with modification, from common ancestors, and that the chief cause of modification is natural selection acting on hereditary variation. Darwin provided abundant evidence for descent with modification since then, hundreds of thousands of observations from paleontology, geographic distributions of species, comparative anatomy, embryology, genetics, biochemistry, and molecular biology have confirmed that all known species are related to one another through a history of common ancestry. Thus the hypothesis of descent with modification from common ancestors has long had the status of a scientific fact. We will describe some of the evidence in chapters 2 and 22. The explanation of how modification occurs and how ancestors give rise to diverse descendants constitutes the scientific theory of evolution. We now know that Darwin's hypothesis that evolution occurs by natural selection acting on hereditary variation was correct. We also know that there are more causes of evolution than Darwin realized, and that natural selection and hereditary variation are more complex than he imagined. A body of ideas about the causes of evolution, including mutation, recombination, gene flow, isolation, random genetic drift, the several forms of natural selection, and other factors constitutes our current theory of evolution, or evolutionary theory. Like all theories in science, It is a work in progress, for we do not entirely know the causes of all of evolution, or of all the biological phenomena that evolutionary biology will have to explain. In evolutionary biology, as in every other scientific discipline, there are core principles that have withstood skeptical challenges and are highly unlikely to require revision, and there are frontier areas in which research actively continues. Some widely held ideas about frontier subjects may prove to be wrong, but the uncertainty at the frontier does not undermine the core. The main tenets of evolutionary theory, a descent with modification from a common ancestor, in part caused by natural selection, are so well supported that almost all biologists confidently accept evolutionary theory as the foundation of the science of life. Page 9 of 724.